you're sitting there. Is he going to be able to stay in the game? And you talk about being a warrior. I mean, it was huge. And you see it the way this thing shook down at the end. We needed him. We needed guys to step up and make plays. And no, I think what you find is the more and more guys over the course of 11 guys on the field, 22, which we talked about all the way going back to spring. The more guys that play that way, all of a sudden that's the model. And so much of what you do, going back to taking this thing over and this year is okay. Where's our model? Who can we point to at each position group? And by no means what I suggest we have none, but the more you have, obviously that is when they use the term culture. That's a real part of it.
Alex, you're talking about how well your guys played, and you're feeling like you screwed it up.
Yeah.
What is that feeling in the pit of your stomach like at that moment?
Well, it's awful. It's awful. When they come to the sideline, and there's certain times over the course of a game where you say that. What happened on that play, or you're going to give them a stern coaching point because they didn't execute their technique and responsibility, and you got to own it as a football coach when it's on you. It can be the right coaching point, and my motives can be accurate, and they can look really, really good on a Wednesday. But if they don't put our guys in a chance to be successful on a Saturday, and that happened a couple times tonight, and you got to own it. And I think in the end, the guys appreciate that. I'm not obviously sitting up here throwing darts at them when it's not accurate, and they understand on the sideline you like to think that they know you got their back.
So given that, what was the tone like on the sidelines with your guys, with you going into overtime?
Well, I mean, obviously disappointment, but one of the things we keep talking about over the course of, that last 5-6 weeks, whatever it's been, is just, the scoreboard doesn't dictate our performance. And we've talked about this, is that, all you got to go get a stop regardless. Whether Coach Grinch screwed up, whether it's a D lineman out of the gap, whether it's the linebacker that didn't do X, Y, or Z. So on down, in the moment, there's no other agreement that we can come up with other than we got to go with a stop. And if you got to overcome Coach Grinch, that's not good. But we got to feet underneath us there at the tail end of the game and found a way.
What was your key to containment of Mims? Did that start with Motley and then just everyone help out?
Well, it did. I thought the corners did an exceptional job tonight. We put them in press situations a lot. We mixed up a little bit of coverage-wise, and then that kind of ties into you go a little well one too many times, maybe in the fourth quarter, but mixed up a little bit coverage-wise, and maybe we did the first go-around. And obviously it's respect for what they are capable of doing offensively. They got home run threats, specifically with him, and so did a few things different. And like I said, the balance is, how do you go a little well one too many times, and sometimes as a coach you do.
Alex, I saw you after the game with obviously your family.
Yeah.
When your dad was there.
Yeah.
And hugged him, and it looked like you either exhaled that, oh my gosh, you finally got through this game, or maybe it was the season. I don't know. What were the emotions in that moment?
Well, I think when you take a job at a place like Oklahoma, you understand that the expectations are through the roof, and you want to live up to those expectations. You want to prove Coach Riley right. You know that the standard here, and I've used the example before, it's the New York Yankees. You don't come in here and tell them what the standard is. They tell you what it is, and so you got to live up to it. And that's a tall order, and it's been a lot of challenges along the way, and obviously more challenges to go. But no, we've talked in the past about 1 week evaluations, and at some point you got to exhale, and so I took that opportunity.
I've asked you a lot about Kenneth Murray this year. What does he mean to you? Just his performance today. It seems like he got the air knocked out of him and then came back in.
Well, just one of the models for what we want to be. We talk about trying to have the fastest defense in the country, making sure we don't slow them down as coaches, which is a big piece of it. And then he provides that. You got a guy that can make you right. He can run a play down when maybe it's not exactly how you draw it up. But he's also a doubting guy, man. There's nobody watching more video. He's hounding Coach Odom for more time spent together and all those things, and that's a visual, that's a model, and so obviously thrilled to have him, and I felt like he played really well tonight.
Kenneth was a guy that he carried kind of the weight of the world on his shoulders since he was a freshman. He was kind of the spokesman for this defense and had to answer every week why it wasn't better.
Sure.
Did you sense that? Did you get a feeling for like kind of the stuff he had been through when you first started working with him?
I wouldn't, probably not when we first got together, but I think over time, you know, certainly when we don't get the results on some game days that way, and you know, the look in his eye. He's not the only one, but you know he's been there before, and these guys, as tough as they are and all those things, I mean there's an emotional attachment to what performances that you have, and unfortunately in some cases you draw back to, or you go back to and draw from some tough Sundays after Saturdays that obviously weren't elite performances. So in any event, kind of as we went through that, you saw that more, and a guy that. Again, his motivation is, man, he wants to fix every issue, and he wants to be that poster child, put it on my back and all those things. You can't have enough of those guys.
He's been that guy though that's been on the biggest stage, you know, in the playoff, and it hasn't gone well. What would it mean to you, just as his coach, to see him have that chance and have this defense have that chance to kind of rewrite that playoff?
Well, and I think that's it. I mean, I think your motivation, as always, is you know, how can you be better than the week before? How can you maximize you know, the performance of the individuals that you got? You know, you got to get outcomes, and outcomes include winning by 1 point, and so sometimes your performance maybe doesn't match in terms of what you deem winning football to be, but you come out with a win and you move on to the next one. But no, I'd be thrilled for the group, and thrilled for them now. I mean, I don't want to speak into the future, but thrilled for them at this point to have a couple opportunities where they had to come through. They had to come through for Oklahoma football, and those kids did.
Alex, were you aware that Pat Fields brought a guy down by his hair today?
I did not. Whatever it takes. We coach that.
Yeah. You say we coach
that? No.
Whatever it takes, you coach that.
Well, he said he didn't really mean to, but he did kind of use that term, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And is that symbolic, just that play, however it happened of today? Was it as tough, as sort of physically grueling as it looked like?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things as you go through this thing is to create the expectation that it's your play to make, and it's not okay to not make the play. And we've really, as you go through, again, over a course of a calendar year now, and specifically over the course of fall, is that expectation is this football team needs me to make this play. It's not, oh, my bad, shucks, I missed it. My job description says I have to tackle this individual by all means necessary, obviously within the parameters of the rules and all those things. So no, there has to be that element to whatever it takes, and so no, it probably is indicative of that to a point.
You talk about Trey Brown runs down the receiver, and then of course you hold the field goal.
Huge, and we've had a couple of those plays this year that and. I'll say it. It shouldn't happen. It's a bad play defensively, but it's everything we talk about what we want to be as a defense, and find a way. If they don't, if that referee doesn't throw two hands in the air, we got a shot to get a takeaway to hold them to 3, and we've done a better job over the course of the year to hold teams to 3. But it includes plays like that. It's not exactly how you draw it up. Sometimes you got to overcome Coach Grinch, and in that case he did. And what a great visual for running your tail to the ball and getting the ball carrier down. And obviously it was huge play in the game.
You talked about the standard a minute ago. You think you guys are making strides toward that, and what's it been like seeing you guys finish the way they have lately?
Well, yes, you're making strides, but it's a performance business. So it's one thing to say I feel really good about how things are going, and we're climbing a ladder towards being a more respected defense on both in the conference and on a national level. But you're one game away from not being that, and you can get chopped down real quick. And so in any event, no, without question, progress is being made. And these guys understand that we're establishing a standard for how we want to play, and when you establish a standard, you got to hold yourself to that. So you got to be admitting when you don't do a very good job as a coach, you got to admit that. No, it's part of it.
You talked expectation. There's sort of 2 tiers of that at OU. It's conference championship and then national championship. So how do you then take the emotions from this And when does that become anticipation for tomorrow?
Well, and you know, being in the situation last year at Ohio State, where you know, won the Big Ten, and so have been down this road, and been in other conference championship games, where 2 SEC championship games where we lost, and you know, it's doom and gloom for the next 24 hours. So you kind of try to handle them all the same way, and understand that no matter what happens, you're going to play an elite opponent. You know, good luck, bad luck on this deal. Now you win 12 games, you're going to play a real one. I don't care where you go, and so, but that's why you're in it, to have a chance to play, you know, in some of these, you know, quality bowl games and beyond.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.